Morning. How are y'all this morning? Awesome. My name's Drew. I'm the Interim Associate Vice President for Business and Finance. So a whole lot of words to say I look after the money, generally. What we have today is external contractors or external consultants and how you all will interact with them. It's going to be, I promise, boring. I'm going to try to make it less boring, but it's not a super exciting subject. So why are we doing this at all? Well, these things come up. You all will want to talk to someone, contract with someone, get an agreement with someone. So we wanted to provide a little bit of help and assistance about what that looks like, how it works. You guys can enter into contracts with outside organizations. This can be anything from any of the intramural teams hiring a coach to reserving space off campus, a bunch of different ways that this can take place and form. One of the big things that I want to focus on, though, is that student organizations, y'all, are independent of the university. So when we're thinking about contracting, it's not the university contracting with them, it's y'all's organizations contracting with them. And that's a big difference. The biggest is that some of the protections, some of the policies that we have in the university don't apply quite the same way. I know Jackie's been going over all of the policies that do apply. Please follow all of them. I'm also over compliance. It's a big deal. So she's been going over all the policies that do apply. You should follow all of them. But some of the policies have less of an impact. Good example, if you are an intramural team and you have hired a coach, our MTSU coaching policy won't apply to that person because they're not an MTSU coach. Otherwise, follow all the rules that have been set out so far. High-level agreements. So this is just some very high-level points about when you're talking to groups, what should you do? I think everyone in this room has probably had that conversation with someone, whether it's a sibling, someone on your team, someone in group work assignments, that's not what I agreed to, or that's not what we talked about. You've had that conversation, you've had that fight where they think that they promised one thing, you think they promised something else, and neither of you can agree on what the right way forward is. Good agreements avoid that. Good agreements in writing help make sure that everyone is on the same page. So when you're doing these agreements with outside consultants, they take any number of forms. You should try to make sure that you and the other person that you're contracting with are on the same page. I've included some big topics that come up, things like time frame. When do you want them to perform the service? When do you need their service? How long do you need their service for? Compensation, how are you going to pay them? Are you going to pay them half up front, half at the end? Are you going to pay them only at the end? I generally encourage reimbursement. Make sure that you got the service that you were paying for. But depending on who you're working with, you might have to pay a deposit. Scope. What is it that you actually want them to do? Spend some time working with your consultant, talking about scope and what you want them to do. Make sure that you're both understanding. Yes, I want you to do the following 3 things. I want you as a coach, I don't know why I'm picking on coaches today. I want you as a coach to show up twice a week, every week, for the foreseeable future. Well, I left out foreseeable future is not a time frame. You shouldn't do that. But twice a week, every week, helps make sure that you know what they're going to provide. The final one is restrictions. Make sure that you're clear about what you can't do. Everything else in this presentation is a restriction. Don't do those. But you should make sure that everyone is clear about what you can and cannot do when you're working with one of y'all's student groups. First restrictions, policy 100. I'm sure that y'all have started talking about this already. The big thing here, I've bolded it, is the external personal organization complies with the terms of MTSU's policies, local, state, and federal laws when you're having an event on campus. This is a big deal. You have to make sure that you all are responsible for your vendors. So if you brought someone on, external consultant onto campus, you have to make sure that they're following the rules of MTSU. And please follow all the laws. You shouldn't just do that in general. It's a good plan. Trademarks and logos. The MTSU logo is trademarked. You can't allow an external consultant to use it without permission. You have to go ask the Division of Marketing and Communications whether or not you can use the MTSU logo. It's not hard. They have a whole website for it. Agency. Fancy way to say that you have the authority to do something. One of the big things for our outside consultants is making sure that they know that they are not working on behalf of MTSU. They can't go out to the community and say, hey, I'm working for MTSU to do this. Please do this because I'm doing this for MTSU. Our outside consultants don't work for MTSU. They work for themselves and they're contracting with you. So The biggest piece here is just reminding them of that. Photography. This isn't in writing. You can't allow them to take photos or anything at an event without getting permission from you all in writing. In writing is important because if someone comes up later and asks, hey, did you get permission? They're going to be expecting to see the writing. And it can be something simple. I give permission, and here's the signature. Finally, they're not allowed to use y'all. It's pretty easy. You can't have an outside consultant suddenly start using you for research or personal activities. You need to make sure that what they're doing is consistent with your student organization's mission. That goes a little bit further as well. You can't contract with organizations to do things that are outside of your mission. I heard Jackie mention hazing and how don't ever do hazing. Hazing's bad. You all can't do hazing, therefore you can't also contract with someone to haze you. I don't know why you would, but you can't do it, so don't try. It's just a good scope. You can't encourage contract, you can't get contractors to do things that you all can't do. Otherwise, that's all the big points I have. It's a very simple process. Biggest thing is making sure that you and your contractor are on the same page. And if you have issues with your contractor, make sure that you point them out early to them or cancel the contract. Have those in agreement. Any questions?
No question? We got